if you think you can, you're right.
You're right.
And if you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
So if you think you want to buy a house today and you're willing to go for it, you can.
Right.
But if you think you can't, you're not going to.
You're not stepping in the race. Yeah.
Intervene.
That kind of hurts, JT. We don't exist, huh? Yeah. All right. A San Luis Obispo Real Estate Podcast with Mr. Hal Sweasey and Mr. John Turner. It's just the pair of you guys today. So, I think we need to do a market update, right?
Skeleton crew, right? Yeah.
The skeleton crew. Nobody else exists, John.
Yeah, right.
I miss Bobby.
Yep.
I hope she's watching.
Yep.
I miss all our other participants.
Albert,
just you and
great
me.
lenders. Yeah, well, okay. Sometimes this happens, and there's no beer, so we got a problem.
No beer.
Yeah.
No.
That's part of the biggest problem.
But it's coming up on 5 o'clock, so somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, let's have some fun.
September 2025.
I know. What the heck happened to the year?
I wish I knew. I wish I could remember.
Didn't we just have the Team
I think
Swayze
most
Christmas
good things,
party?
I think good things happen for the most part. Yeah, it's all mostly been good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've learned a lot this year, haven't we?
We have learned a lot. Yeah. There's a lot to learn.
And we've changed some of the ways that we go about our business to try to make it better, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
hey, it's
Lots
been
of
it's been a challenging year, though. I mean, and that shows up in the numbers, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and I was thinking about it because it does. There's a lot more effort in certain aspects of the business, and for us, and then for the customers, there's a difference as well.
But if you're a real estate agent or you're connected to the real estate industry,
Sure.
a lender, an appraiser,
Yeah.
who else are we talking about?
Title and escrow, home inspectors, plumbers.
It's been challenging for the whole industry, right?
Well, yeah, and I think residential real estate is a pretty big part of the economy.
Yeah.
Right. So when you go from, 6.5 million sales down to 4.7 nationwide, and we see the lowering of the volume, it affects a lot of industries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think I think we're below what was average if we go back to 2019 before COVID started and then it went crazy. So at the end of the day, I would call it pretty much a normal market.
When you say we're below average, tell our
Volume
viewers,
of sales.
Yeah, the number of homes that are changing
selling,
hands.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
People
good.
are less likely to move. The buyer pool is less than it has been. That sort of thing. So
and every part of the country is experiencing something a little bit different. Like Florida and Texas are totally different markets, and parts of Arizona than us, right?
Yeah.
So what are we experiencing here? What are the numbers from last month tell us?
Yeah, I don't think this month paints a picture. It just paints a continuing story that our homes for sale is up, and I have to wear my glasses for this, 23% over last year. But I would say, and you follow this almost more closely than I do, our inventory is kind of plateaued out.
Yeah,
right?
the metrics that I follow are a little bit different than what your assistant Christina does. But the ones I follow bottom in during COVID, just over 200 homes, condos, and townhouses for sale in the county. It was at just under 500 at the beginning of this year.
Yep.
The last 60 days or so has hovered between 800 on the low end, 860 on the high end.
Sure.
This morning was 803.
Yeah.
So it has
kind of
it's come backwards from
in many cases,
the top side.
Yeah. So some of that is sales. Some of that is people saying no. So what we're seeing, which we haven't seen for a long time, is people canceling, withdrawing, or expiring, just different labels we call for removing from the market.
Geez, the first of the month, I saw the list of expireds in the county, and it was the longest list I've ever seen.
Right. Yep. So people's contracts with their agent runs out, that comes off the market, right? So we've seen that.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, I look at this, so the way we measure it, about 504 properties that we measure and 192 sold. So it's about 2.5 months supply of inventory, the absorption rate.
Okay, so if historically average inventory that I remember you saying was somewhere 1,100, in that range.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when there's 500 in the city of San Luis. You
Yeah,
know, so
yeah.
anyway, yeah. So
and
so
now
we're
we've,
lower.
Now we've got 2.5 months of supply.
Yes.
If you were playing the buyer's market, seller's market game, you would call that what?
That is still a seller's market by most accounts.
Okay.
Now, we have always, as a small town, have a smaller inventory.
Right.
So I always joke with people that are coming to town, well, there's not many choices. I go, the good news is you don't have a lot of traffic, you don't have a lot of crime, but the bad news is there's not as many people here, so we just don't have as many houses.
Right.
So the selection is lower in inventory. And I've used this example many times, but sold a nice house downtown not a year or so ago, and the owner had bought it in 1968, right? I said, how did you end up buying this house? She says it was one of 2 available. So welcome to San Luis Obispo. Right. So the county is obviously a little bit larger, but our inventory's up but steady. Our sales are basically the same as last year, and our pendings were actually higher this month than a year ago. So that's good news.
So back to this seller's market thing.
Yeah.
The data suggests it's a seller's market, but the reality out in the marketplace is, I've heard you use this term the last couple of months, balanced.
It's balanced.
So what does that mean to look at the data and say it's a seller's market, but the reality is it's balanced?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
So really good question. So day to day when I'm dealing with clients, sellers right now, and certain markets are different than others. So your larger homes, your second home markets, those are a little bit more difficult. It used to be, if the buyer doesn't like it this weekend, next weekend there'll be another buyer. Or 4 years ago, it was like 9 buyers. So now it's like, if you find a buyer, you want to work with that buyer, right? So in this market, because it's taking more time, and I look at days on the market in Morro Bay, average for those that are for sale, 102 days.
That seems like a lot.
It's more than normal. 80, 90 days is a lot. San Luis Obispo, it's only 63. It just depends on your neighborhood. Avila was 78. That's a small market. Pismo, 91 days. So 3 months without selling does seem a lot because everything moves faster and we got used to faster. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you look at the pending sales, the days on the market, it's about a month on average. Right? So that means if you do it right, it still can take a month on average. That's still, you can sell in the first weekend. You can sell in 2 months. But so the point is, it takes longer. So if you're concerned about getting a buyer and you miss one and it takes an average of a month to sell or 2 months to sell, that means you might wait 2 more months for the next buyer. And then you're wondering, in 2 months, is my house worth more or is it worth less?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And depending on where you live, sometimes you're getting less. It's that happens, sometimes more, right? So the point of this is that there's 2 things. One, the market is changing in terms of the buyer-seller power struggle, for lack of a better term, right? And then 2, how do you make the most of it if you're on one of those sides of the fence?
I've also heard you say recently, it's so great that I have the opportunity to let you share what you say privately with our whole group here that listens. Yeah. You said it's harder today to put a deal together and keep it together.
Yeah. It's more work. Yeah. I mean, if there comes a time when, people can just go online, they feel comfortable, they don't have to walk through a house, they don't want advice on neighborhoods if they're new to the area, they don't know if they know how to negotiate a contract, meaning my job is meaningless or, I have no value, and they can just go click, which this is how we get airline tickets now. I just click and point and click. If that all happened, that would be more streamlined. I think people would like that. In this environment, it is more work because when I go meet with a seller, the market has changed where it used to be I could rely on data from 3, 4, 5 months ago. Now it's more current. So there's a lot more time in really studying what happened to the competing listings, what's studying the other listings that are out there, what happened in the most recent sales, really knowing that to give someone good advice to say, if you want to have success and get the most money, you're probably going to do it in the first 30 days. And to do that, here's what the condition of the house needs to look like. Here's what the terms need to look like. Obviously, the price, right? So all that is much more important now than it was before.
Okay. And I also heard you say we value buyers more today than maybe we did. I mean, we've always valued them, but they're harder to come by today.
Yeah.
So we put a higher value on a buyer today than in 2021 when if you didn't buy this property, the next person did, and if they didn't, the next person did. It was selling.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a buyer today, and I heard you say just a second ago, you really want to work hard at working with that buyer to help them move forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you worked really hard. That buyer decided to put an offer in on that property. The offer was negotiated. The seller accepted the terms, and now you're in escrow.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes that feared thing called an inspection.
Yeah.
And how hard should the seller work at keeping this thing together in this market if the buyer's asking for a lot?
Yeah. On average, they should work very hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I've got lots of stories where somebody, had an offer at this price and it didn't come together, or an escrow at this price, falls apart, comes back on the market. Now they're selling it at a lower price.
Yeah.
Okay. So the word compromise, if you look at new home builders, what they're doing, the huge amount of incentives they're giving,
Right.
rather than lowering their price, but it's a price reduction because it comes out of their pocket, right? What's an incentive a seller can give? Okay, I can pay your points down. I can, spend $50,000 on a kitchen. I'm just throwing things out. But the compromise is critical, and being prepared to offer a better product in a competitive market. See, we jokingly say buyers are important. I mean, if you had a listing in 2020 or 2021, even remotely within reason, it was going to sell.
Quick.
Right? There were plenty of buyers. So,
Yeah.
listings, properties had value, right?
Yeah.
Used cars had value. Toilet paper had value. Remember that? Right. So anyway, so right now it's more like, okay, we gotta give and take. This is not an arranged marriage. This is a regular marriage where both sides have to work to make it stick.
I wrote down the word compromise when you said it, and my memory suggests, and my memory's now over 70 years old, so it's not as good as it used to be. I think that word was part of our very first podcast, if not the first one of our very first podcasts.
Yeah.
That word compromise. I think the word compromise applies to whatever market we're in, it doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're compromising when you buy a house oftentimes in San Luis Obispo County because it may not be perfect, but you go, well,
Right.
The kitchen's smaller than I like, but I love the neighborhood and the yard, and we can do with that. Or it doesn't have the landscaping, but we can put that in. So you compromise.
Yeah. Who said it?
You did.
But no. Who said that? What I'm about to share with you? I heard this a year or so ago, and I've said it on the podcast before. But a perfect real estate transaction in the end, both parties are a little bit unhappy. The seller didn't quite get what they wanted, and the buyer paid a little more than they wanted. Right?
Sure.
I mean, do you find that to be true?
Sometimes, but usually people by the end are they've gotten over it because they don't want to go, God, I bought this new car, I bought this, and I feel horrible about it. You just go, okay, I've made the decision. I think people feel better when they make the decision and move forward, right? Like, okay, I wanted a new roof, I got a credit for half of it, I can live with that.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, they go, oh, we need to put that roof on, right?
Right.
So, and same thing with the seller. They leave and they kind of forget about it. So it gets touch and go for sure. But most of the time, people are happy that they got there.
Yeah. I remember one of the properties that you helped me buy. I got a credit for the sewer lateral because it looked like they took pictures and it wasn't quite maybe where we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And the seller understood that.
Yeah.
And I owned the house for 2 or 3 years. I never touched the sewer lateral.
Right.
Disclosed it to the next buyer.
Yeah, guess what?
But I never touched it.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Yeah. So So,
never mind.
d-
I'm not going to go there.
do you have any other numbers from August stick out to you that you want to share before we move on to our next topic?
No, I think, it's interesting because we look at prices, right? Your favorite thing. You read an article. What did it say about home prices in the county?
Oh, it said that home prices were down 9% this year in San Luis Obispo County. And I was shocked because I don't know that we have seen that. We've seen a little bit of home, I'll call you regression in values.
Right.
But I don't know that we've seen overall 9%.
Yeah, I've seen some situations, because I've had a lot of experience in markets where property values were flat or it was very competitive and people wanted to get their homes sold. And, I've seen circumstances lately where I've seen like, oh, wow, that last sale was 1.3. The same house just sold for, just under 1.2.
Okay.
There goes 10%, right?
Yeah.
And certain types of properties. So it's that fingerprint thing we talk about.
Okay.
So
what do you
there's been a, I would say there's overall, I wouldn't argue with 10% on average.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Boy, that's surprising to me. What do you mean when you say fingerprint? What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. So I think I stole this from you. No, it's just every house in every neighborhood is unique. Okay. It kind of goes back to why you can't just computer generate a value, right? Different floor plan, nice finishes, yard spaces, things that are popular, 3-car garages that are 2 or 1, all those things go into what the value is, what the neighbors look like. And, if somebody was lucky and there's 3 buyers all of a sudden looking for a single level house in a planned unit development, complex, and there's only one available, right? And the other one before it sold and they missed it. So it's like, oh, these are hot. So that's hot at that moment.
Right.
Didn't you say who controls whether it's a seller market or a buyer's market? Remember
What did I say?
That? You don't. Okay, this is really good. So, is it a seller's market? Well, if you price your home and provide great condition and value, you created your own seller's market.
Right.
And it happens whether the whole thing's going this way, or what it always does, moving around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's also confusing. So it's more work for real estate agents if you're going to do a good job, because it's easy to do a bad job. It's quicker. But if you really want to do a good job and make sure you're providing value to the client and making sure we're getting as good information to them as possible in terms of price and condition to get the house ready, that's important. But additionally, it's confusing for the consumer because oftentimes if you're buying a house, you might talk to a couple of agents, or you might have picked an agent and a friend saying, hey, this is what's happening, or this is what's happening. And then 20 years ago was 2005. We had an internet, but we have all the information going around that we have now, opinions, talking heads, all this stuff, podcasts, about what's happening in the marketplace. So for the consumer, it's confusing. Right? Because one agent might go and say, oh, look at these 3 sales happened in April, May, and June, or whatever, March, April, and May. Good. Hey, we should price it right there. And another agent may go, well, that was good then, but those were actually put in escrow a few months before, and we've seen a shift in the marketplace. And now this active listing is actually lower than those, and this pending listing was on the market 3.5 months, and you don't really want to be on the market 3.5 months, and they came down $100,000. So that's the information you want to look at, not from 3 months ago. So it's confusing.
back to your fingerprint.
Yes.
Bobby Kelly, our wonderful CEO at Keller Williams here on the Central Coast, she said on a podcast or while you were gone, I think, that 3-bedroom houses, those things are selling faster than 2-bedroom or 4-bedroom houses.
Right.
So you got a 3-bedroom, to your point, you got a 3-bedroom house coming on the market. You got more than one person who really wants a 3-bedroom house.
Sure.
You may not see the decline in home values.
Yes.
And buyers out there that have been waiting for values to decline, they might have missed it. They might have missed the decline. And here's brings me to my next subject.
Yeah.
I heard for the first time in a month today that there's now maybe a little more skepticism about rates declining.
You mean the Federal Reserve?
The Federal
lowering
Reserve,
the federal funds rate. Yeah.
Now, our mortgage rates have declined, a quarter, a little more in the last month, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened last year when rates kissed 6%?
Yeah, we had a boom of activity.
Okay. So if that happens again between now and the end of the year,
Yeah.
what would that boom in activity, what would be your guess it would do to prices?
Well, it would definitely increase demand, right? Is it
Right.
enough to make the prices go up? Depends on how much demand, but I think that would move the market. And I think the difference is, like, if you have money invested in stocks right now, right? If you have a 401k, it's been a kind of a positive ride.
Been a
Right?
good
Yeah,
good
well,
year
it's been
so
up and
far.
down, right? But yeah,
Been
down,
a
up.
funky couple days, but a good year.
Okay, yeah. So I don't follow that close, but yeah. So you've got that. So the difference would be now we have, if you get that rate, because there's a lot of people that have been holding off, and the number of sales we have countywide is below what we've normally had. So people may really want to move, but they don't want to give up their rate, or they don't want to buy because they're feeling the rates are a little higher. So that rate would be a big impetus. And the difference between a year ago and now is we probably have at least 50% more homes available, because you could have been available and we could have sold more, but we didn't have the product to provide.
Right.
So now that the buyers have more options with a lower rate, that would boost at least the number of sales, right? And if, and I believe this to be somewhat true, if real estate activity in home sales is a very major part of the economy.
It is.
Yeah, okay, so I think we can agree on that. I've been told that. Then if more homes are selling, that means the home inspectors are busier, the escrow officers are busier, the painter, the fixer up to the gardener, the economy is growing.
Yeah.
So people feel better.
Yeah.
And they're more comfortable purchasing.
Yeah.
Or moving.
Right. I think one of the things that people forget, and I know this was really helpful for my daughter and son-in-law that bought last year, is they got in at a rate of 6.99.
Yes.
Were they happy? Nah, not really.
Right.
Right. I mean, they were thrilled to be
own
able
a home.
to get in their first home.
Yeah.
But that stretched them on the payment about as far as they could stretch.
Right.
So my question to them was, can your house payment ever go up? What's the answer?
On a 30-year fixed?
Yeah.
No.
No. Can it go down?
Yep.
And guess what that did to their level of anxiety? It went down as well.
Right.
Because now they're going, okay, is it time for our house payment to go down?
Right.
I personally believe it's going to go down further next year, but should they push that button now and get a half a point lower rate and save $200 or $300 a month?
Yeah.
And the answer is probably yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and-
a good lender will give them the cost benefit. It's going to
Right.
cost you this much, and a lot of lenders are not charging much at all for that.
If you did business with them on the original loan.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah,
And
right.
so what product is there in the marketplace where you buy at one price and you're guaranteed it'll never go up, but it could go down? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
There
something
must
out
be, but
there,
yeah,
but
it's outside,
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, most everything else goes up, right?
So I think that, is it a good time to buy a house in San Luis Obispo County? And I still think it's a good time. Of course, I think that every day. I'm a little Pollyanna.
Right, of course,
in
yeah.
that regard. But
Yeah,
hey, I think it's a great time to buy a house today.
but over the long haul, it's proved out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I shared with you again a couple months ago. I looked at the first house my wife and I bought in Orange County when we moved down there. And I looked at the price of the house relative to my income at the time. And I think I paid 3.6 or 3.7 times my income.
Okay.
And my son and daughter-in-law bought in Seattle 3 years ago. My daughter and son-in-law bought in Napomo a year ago. And I look at and they're buying properties in the 3.7 to 3.9 factor times their income.
Right. Okay.
So a price has gone up the last 40 years. Well, of course they have.
Sure.
But, they're making 5 times what I was making when I bought my
That's
first
true.
house.
Yeah.
So, and then I looked at the payment, and it was pretty similar. My payment was, I forget what the percentage was, the 30 or 35% of my income
Right.
at 10.5%
Right.
interest.
Right.
And their payments are 30 or 35% of their income.
Yeah.
Just my income was 20% of what their income is today.
Right.
So is it hard to buy a house today? You darn right it is. It always has been. It always will be.
Yeah.
But it's still doable.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors said to me one time, and I'm sure you've heard, I forget who made up this quote, but if you think you can, you're right.
You're right.
And if you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
So if you think you want to buy a house today and you're willing to go for it,
Yeah.
you can.
Right.
But if you think you can't, you're not going
You're
to.
not stepping in the
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well,
James, why don't you take us out of here today?
Yeah,
I'm done talking with Hal Sweasey.
you got to.
JT, today's
Yeah.
one of those days where your conversations are deep. You're digging deep for these like memorable quotes. So great,
It's exhausting.
It is.
Digging deep. Yeah, my brain's tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're making him sleepy, JT.
Yeah. He has a reason to be tired.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll get you out of here. So, Mr. Kingman, what do you got for us?
Well, make sure that you subscribe wherever you get podcasts to this, because while it is hugely popular on YouTube, and YouTube tells us that it's hugely popular, podcast, audio, share of the ear, all that stuff does not. So you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. So whatever you're listening to, add us into your featured podcasts, and you'll have this information when it comes out.
Yeah. YouTube, we're doing pretty good on there. I think you can say that. So
How many views?
So right now, just
Have
channel overall is 3,037,364, and
over 3 million, and last year we had 1 million, which blew my mind. So
Right.
over 3 million views.
and
Okay.
subscribers.
This
we're-
is what
That's because of the shirt.
This is what success does to people. He's like, oh yeah, we're like 3 million. I don't know.
Hey, Hal,
we talk.
You would have been
about it all the
thrilled with 3
do you
million
remember
when we
when you were a
started.
kid
time. Oh, stoked.
and you'd go to the movies, and before the main feature started, you'd get previews of coming attractions.
Of course.
James, should you give us a preview of what's coming next week?
Yeah, I mean, we can. Mr. Kingman is going to join us next episode, right?
He's coming to the table next week, right?
Okay, good.
He
I
had
can't
this.
wait.
He had this big idea, so we're putting him on the spot. So
Yeah.
he's excited
Okay.
about
I
it.
like it.
Way to volunteer,
I'll
Jeff.
have to take a
Kingman.
shower before I
love
come
it.
in.
Fine. It's your shower week.
Shower. Yes, please.
I
I didn't want to have to say it, but thank you.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. Hopefully, we'll get more subscribers. Not that it's not a big deal, because it is, Jeff. 98,776. I'm looking at it right now. So we're getting close to hitting 100,000 subscribers.
You got a lot of family members.
We do.
Yeah, good
Well,
job.
I'm from Dinuba, so we
Yeah,
all hang
there
out
we go.
together. I don't think
That's
there's
all
that
of
many.
Dinuba.
No, that's all of Fresno.
Yeah, okay.
All right, guys. Great episode.
Okay.
Very, very informative. JT, you can
Let's-
go home, go to sleep.
Let's do this next month.
Let's do it again
week.
next month.
Next month, October.
Oh,
Market update.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.